Lyra Hale walked through the long metal corridor of Zareth Station, her steps soft, her expression calm, her eyes focused ahead, even without arms. She moved with a quiet grace that made some aliens stare in confusion, while others stared with cruel smiles. Whispers followed her everywhere she went. "Look." "The armless human," one alien muttered. "How does she even live?" Another laughed. "She is just a weak creature," someone else added. Lyra heard everything, but she never reacted. She kept walking as if the words did not touch her at all. Zeroth Station was huge, full of different species. Full of noise, full of light. Humans were rare here. And a human without arms was even more unusual. Some aliens watched her with pity, some with disgust, and some with interest. But Lyra ignored everyone. She had learned a long time ago that attention was useless. Only work mattered every day after her classes. She walked to the old human engineering wing, a quiet part of the station no one used anymore. The doors were rusted, the lights were dim, and the hall smelled old and forgotten. Most citizens avoided this place, calling it the dead sector, but Lyra loved it inside these empty rooms. She felt free from eyes, free from cruel jokes, free from whispers with her feet. She tapped the access panel and unlocked the workshop she had claimed as her own. The door slid open with a slow, metallic sigh. Inside, the room was full of wires, scraps of metal, old screens, and strange mechanical parts that Lyra had collected over the years. She had no arms, but her mind worked like a machine fast. Sharp, endlessly curious, she used her feet to activate the screens, move tools, and examine designs. Her flexibility was unbelievable. Her focus unbreakable. On one screen, diagrams of robotic joints glowed in blue light. On another, she studied old Earth robotics, prosthetic technology, and neural interface designs that were impossible for most aliens to understand. She watched every frame, memorizing each movement, each angle, each connection. She did not need hands to learn. She only needed her brain. But outside this room, things were different. Aliens did not see her intelligence. They saw only her missing arms. And missing arms meant weakness in their eyes. One afternoon, a group of young alien cadets followed her secretly. They stayed hidden behind the corner as she entered the workshop. "Why does she come here every day?" one whispered. "She can't even hold tools," another snickered. "Maybe she cries in there," a third laughed. But when the door closed behind her, their expressions changed. They heard the sound of metal clanging, machines humming, and energy surging. None of them understood how a weak human could create such noises alone. Inside, Lyra was deep in work. Her feet moved across the floor like precise instruments. She adjusted cables, connected circuits, and examined a long metal structure hidden under a white sheet. She whispered to herself, almost ready. Her voice was soft, but full of determination. Lyra spent hours every night building something no one could imagine. She slept little, but she did not care. She was driven by something stronger than rest, something that lived deep inside her. She wanted to prove something, not to others, but to herself. She wanted to build the thing she had never been given. She wanted to build her arms. As the night grew deeper, she ran a final check on the machines. A soft hum filled the room. Then a heavy metallic thud echoed against the door. Outside, the alien cadets jumped back in fear. "What was that?" one whispered, eyes wide. "Did she drop something huge?" another asked. "No." "Something is moving in there," the third said with worry. The sound repeated, louder this time, THUD. The floor vibrated. The lights flickered. The cadets ran away, terrified inside. Lyra watched the shape under the sheet rise slowly. It glowed with silver light, pulsing gently. Her eyes shined with pride, with hope, with something close to joy. "It's working," she whispered. She lifted her foot carefully and tapped the power panel. The entire room brightened as a mechanical system fully activated. The blue light danced across the walls, reflecting in Lyra's calm eyes. The structure under the sheet shifted, almost like it was alive, but Lyra was not afraid, in fact. She smiled for the first time that day. She sat down on the clean floor and breathed slowly. Tomorrow, she would make the final connection. Tomorrow, She would try something no human had ever done in this part of the galaxy. Tomorrow, everything would change before leaving the workshop. She turned her head one last time toward the glowing covered object. It stood tall, silent, waiting, her creation. Her dream, her future, no one knew what she was building. No one believed she could do anything, but soon the entire station would learn the truth. As Lyra closed the workshop door, the metal halls of Zerith Station felt colder. The whispers returned, the cruel laughs echoed again. But this time Lyra did not feel small, because in her heart, she knew something the others did not know. She knew that the next time she walked through this corridor, she would not walk without arms, the next morning. Zerith Station was bright and noisy, but Lyra Hale walked through it with the same calm expression. Her steps were light, her eyes focused, her mind already thinking about the workshop. But the aliens around her were not calm. They whispered again, louder than before, because the strange noises from the workshop last night had spread across the whole sector. "Did you hear it?" one alien hissed. "She was making something inside that place," another said nervously. "What can an armless human build?" someone scoffed. Lyra heard the voices, but she did not slow down. She only tightened her jaw and continued forward. At the learning hall, she sat in her usual corner, using her feet to operate her datapad. Other students kept stealing glances at her, some curious, some mocking. Some confused. Her teacher, a tall blue-skinned Drathian, paused when he saw her working so fast. Lyra solved complex equations with her toes faster than most species could solve with their hands. She moved across the screen with incredible precision, but no one praised her. They only stared, thinking she was strange during the break. The same 3 alien cadets who had followed her last night approached her. They pretended to be brave, but she could see fear in their eyes, so— "Human," the tallest one said, trying to sound bold. "What were you doing in that creepy workshop?" Lyra lifted her eyes slowly. "Calm as always. Studying," she answered. The cadets exchanged glances. "Studying what?" the second one demanded. "Machines," Lyra replied. Her voice was soft, but firm. The cadets snorted. "What can you do without hands?" the third laughed. But Lyra did not get angry. She did not look hurt. She only said, "More than you think," and returned her attention to her datapad. Her simple answer made them uneasy. The tallest cadet stepped back. "Just stay out of our way." "No hands," he muttered before leaving. But the word "no hands" no longer hurt Lyra, because she knew what she was building. And soon they would know too when classes ended. Lyra returned to the human engineering wing. She opened the workshop door with her usual foot tap. The moment she entered, a warm hum greeted her. Her creation was still glowing under the sheet, and the energy around it felt alive. She smiled slightly and began her work, using her feet. She opened a storage crate and pulled out wires, tools, and a small neural interface chip. She placed the chip carefully on the table, then used her toes to activate a hologram. Blue light formed a 3D model of 2 robotic arms. Sleek, powerful, elegant. Every part was designed by her. Every detail was calculated with care, Lyra whispered to herself as she worked. "No mistakes today?" She slid across the floor on a small wheeled board she built herself. Making it easier to move between machines, she tightened bolts, secured connections, and tested joints. Her body moved like it had its own rhythm, her feet acting like expert tools. She had trained for years to do this. She had no arms, but she was not helpless. Hours passed, but Lyra did not stop. She checked power flow, tested artificial muscles, and polished the smooth metal surface of the unfinished arms. Every movement was quiet, precise, and full of focus. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the old wing. "Warning. Unauthorized presence detected." Lyra froze. Someone was near. She moved quickly to turn off the glowing monitors. Outside the workshop, she heard footsteps. Not one, not too many. The same cadets had returned. But this time, they were not alone. They had brought more students, curious and scared. They wanted to finally discover what she was doing. "Is she really inside?" one whispered. "I heard the machine moving again," another said. "But how can she make anything without hands?" a third muttered. Their steps grew closer. Lyra stood still, listening carefully. She did not want them to see her work yet. Not like this, not before it was finished. She quickly covered the glowing structure with the white sheet again. Tightening it with her feet, the room dimmed, and she stepped back into the shadows. The door handle shook as someone tried to force it open. "Why is it locked?" one complained. "She must be hiding something," another hissed. "Break it," the leader said quietly, but before they could try. The old security drone in the hallway woke up and scanned them, unauthorized tampering detected. "Move away," it warned, its red light flashing. The cadets panicked and ran down the hall. Shouting, Lyra let out a slow breath of relief. But she knew she could not hide this secret for long. The station was buzzing with rumors. More aliens were becoming curious. More eyes were watching her. If she waited too long, someone might try to stop her work. She went back to her machine and tapped the metal with her foot gently. "It's almost time," she whispered. Her creation pulsed with a faint blue glow under the sheet, almost like it heard her. Lyra checked the neuro interface chip again and placed it next to the machine. This chip would connect the robotic arms directly to her brain. It would allow her to move them like real limbs. It was the final piece she needed as she finished her work for the night. She looked at the covered structure and smiled with quiet pride. Tomorrow, she would attach the neural link. Tomorrow, her dream would step out from the shadows. And tomorrow, the galaxy would realize that the armless human was not weak. She was extraordinary. Asterisk the next day on Zareth Station began with heavy excitement. A big announcement spread through every hallway, every class, every public screen. The station council had declared a robotics examination day. Every species could present a new invention, a new design, or a new idea. The event was important, respected, and watched by almost the entire station. It was the perfect place to show talent. It was also the perfect place to embarrass someone. The aliens whispered at once. "Will the armless human join? How can she present anything? She will fail, and everyone will laugh." Lyra walked quietly through the crowd, hearing every word but reacting to none of them. Her mind was focused on only one thing, the workshop, and the final piece she needed to install. She slipped into the old human engineering wing and opened her workshop door with a soft tap of her foot. Inside, the room seemed brighter than usual. As if the machine under the sheet sensed her arrival, Lyra moved toward it slowly. Her heart beat calm but strong. She whispered, "Today is the day." She removed the white sheet with her foot, revealing the shining structure underneath. Two long, elegant robotic arms rested on a platform, glowing softly with silver and blue light. The metal was smooth, the joints perfect, the fingers delicate but strong. The design was beautiful, simple, powerful, and full of life. Lyra stared at them with quiet pride. Years of work, years of study, years of pain and silence, all had led to this moment. She activated the power core using her heel. The arms rose slowly, floating a few inches above the platform, held up by magnetic stabilizers she had built herself. A soft hum filled the room, like the arms were breathing. Lyra took a deep breath and picked up the neural interface chip with her toes. She gently pressed it into the port on the back of her neck. A cold spark ran down her spine. But she did not flinch. The lights flickered once. Then the robotic arms moved, as if waking up. They shifted, rotated, and extended, the fingers opening and closing smoothly. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing her thoughts. The arms moved again, but this time they moved with her thoughts. She raised an invisible hand in her mind, and one arm rose in perfect sync. She imagined closing a fist, and the robotic fingers curled tightly. A soft gasp escaped her lips. "It works," she whispered. A small smile formed on her face, rare and full of emotion. She practiced for a few minutes, learning the weight, the balance, the feeling of having arms for the first time. Every movement felt more natural, more real, more alive. For the first time in her life, she felt whole. But there was no time to celebrate. The robotics examination was starting soon. Lyra covered the arms again, dimmed the lights, and left the workshop. She walked calmly toward the central hall where the event was held. The hall was huge, filled with spectators from dozens of species. Colorful lights shone on the main stage where inventors showed their devices. Some demonstrated drones, some showcased weapons. Others revealed simple tools when Lyra stepped into the hall. A wave of whispers followed her. What is she doing here? She should go home. Why waste time? But Lyra ignored them and walked to the participant area. Her name appeared on the screen. Participant, Lyra Hale. Human, the aliens snickered. Some even pointed at her and laughed. But Lyra stayed silent, her eyes calm and focused. Finally, her name was called Next Participant. Lyra held a hush fell over the hall. Everyone stared, curious, confused, some even amused. Lyra walked to the center of the stage, her robe covering her body fully, hiding the creation beneath. The judges looked at her with puzzled expressions. One judge spoke. Human. What invention are you presenting today? Lyra took a slow breath. Then she lifted her chin and said in a clear voice, My arms. The audience froze. Some laughed loudly, thinking it was a joke. Others whispered in disbelief, but Lyra did not react. She simply raised her foot and tapped a small device hidden under her robe. The lights in the hall dimmed. A low hum filled the air. Then, from behind Lyra, the workshop door she had transported her machine through slowly opened. A bright blue glow filled the stage. Two shining robotic arms floated into view, rising higher, moving smoothly. Glowing like stars, the whispers stopped. The laughter ended. Silence covered the whole hall. Lyra stepped forward, her heart steady. The robotic arms floated behind her like guardians. She stood tall, her robe falling back slightly. Revealing the neural connector on her neck, everyone stared, eyes wide, mouths open, shocked, mesmerized. Lyra whispered to herself. Let's show them. She closed her eyes. The robotic arms clicked into place, attaching themselves to hidden ports on her upper shoulders. A bright flash of light erupted, the arms locked in perfectly. A new hum filled the room strong, powerful, alive. Lyra exhaled slowly. Her new arms moved for the first time in front of the galaxy, and the entire station watched in stunned silence. The hall stayed silent as Lyra Hale lifted her new arms for the first time in public. Every eye in the room followed her every movement. Every alien who once mocked her now stared in pure shock. No one spoke, no one laughed. They only watched, frozen. Lyra slowly curled her robotic fingers, testing the grip. The metal shimmered in the bright lights. Smooth and elegant, the arms moved with perfect balance, responding to her thoughts instantly. When she raised her left arm, the joints glowed softly. When she moved her right hand, the fingers flexed with amazing precision. A judge leaned forward, his voice trembling. Hey, how did you build this? Lyra looked at him calmly, with patience. She replied, and with need. But before the judges could ask more questions, a sudden alarm echoed through the hall, a loud, sharp warning that made every spectator jump. Emergency alert. Reactor malfunction detected, the station AI announced. Core temperature rising. Immediate evacuation advised. Panic spread instantly. Aliens began shouting, running, pushing. Trying to escape the hall, the judges grabbed their tablets and hurried toward the exit. Even the security guards looked lost and afraid. Lyra did not move. She stood perfectly still. Listening to the sirens, a second announcement followed. Critical failure in Sector 7. Reactor will explode if not repaired in 5 minutes. The audience panicked even more. Nobody can reach Sector 7 in time, someone cried. It's too hot, too dangerous, another shouted. We are doomed, a third screamed. But Lyra's eyes sharpened. Her mechanical fingers twitched with purpose. She stepped forward. I can reach it, she said quietly. Her voice was soft, but everyone heard it. A security officer shook his head. No, you will die. Lyra looked at him calmly. I have new arms, she answered. And they are made for this, without waiting for permission. She ran toward the central corridor leading to Sector 7. Her movements were smooth and powerful, her robotic arms helping her balance and speed. The station shook under her feet as the malfunction spread. Steam burst from pipes above, sparks flew across the ceiling. But Lyra kept running, determined, and fearless. The closer she got to the reactor room, the hotter the air became, the walls vibrated. Alarms screamed, lights flickered. 2 engineers lay near the entrance, unconscious from the heat. Lyra rushed to them and checked their breathing. They were alive, but too weak to continue. She activated the emergency door with her new hand. The sensor scanned her metal fingers and accepted her command instantly. The door opened with a loud hiss, releasing a wave of burning air inside. The reactor room looked like a nightmare. Flames burst from torn cables. The ground shook with every energy pulse. Machines sparked dangerously, ready to explode at any moment. The main reactor core glowed a violent red. Trembling under pressure, Lyra took a deep breath and entered. Her human body struggled with the heat, but her mechanical arms did not. She covered her face with her shoulder and pushed forward. Her hands sliced through the smoke as she approached the failing control panel. The screen was broken. The wires were melted. The system was collapsing. Lyra opened the panel, using her robotic fingers. Pulling out burnt cables with perfect precision, she worked fast, faster than any engineer. Her arms moved like lightning, weaving through the mess of wires. Replacing connections, stabilizing circuits. One mistake could kill her. One wrong move could destroy the entire station. But Lyra's mind stayed calm. She whispered to herself. "You can do this." Her hands worked, one tightening a bolt, the other adjusting an energy conduit. Her feet tapped commands on the floor console, while her arms handled tasks no living limbs could survive. The core began to glow brighter, shaking dangerously. Lyra clenched her jaw. "Not yet," she whispered. She reached into the reactor chamber with her robotic arm, where no organic hand could survive. Her metal fingers grabbed the emergency stabilizer and locked it into place. The room shook violently, almost knocking her down, but she held her ground, her new limbs gripping the machinery with perfect strength. Then, slowly, the red glow faded. The vibrations softened. The alarms quieted. The core stabilized. The station AI spoke again. Reactors stabilized. Explosion prevented. A soft hum replaced the sirens. The danger had passed. Lyra stepped back, breathing heavily. Her skin covered with sweat, her robotic arms glowed softly. Unharmed by the extreme heat, she looked at them with quiet gratitude. "They worked," she whispered. "They really worked," when she walked out of the reactor room. Dozens of aliens stood waiting, their eyes wide, their faces pale, their bodies still shaking from fear. But when they saw her, their expressions changed: shock, awe, respect for the first time. No one saw her as weak. No one saw her as broken. They saw her as a hero, a human, and something more. The cadets who once bullied her stepped back in shame. A judge whispered, "She saved all of us," another said. "She is not armless now," but Lyra did not seek praise. She only looked at her new limbs, feeling a quiet pride growing inside her. Tomorrow, the entire station would know what she had done, and tomorrow, no one would dare mock the human girl who built her own arms. Asterisk the next morning, Zereth Station felt different. The halls were quieter, the whispers were softer, and the usual mocking voices were gone. Everyone was talking about one thing: the human girl who saved the station. The human with metal arms, the human they once called weak. Lyra Hall walked through the corridor, but this time no one laughed. Aliens stepped aside, giving her space. Their eyes filled with shock and respect. Some bowed their heads as she passed. Others whispered her name like it was something sacred. "She saved us all," an alien said quietly. "She fixed the reactor with her own hands," another replied. "And she built those arms herself," a third added with awe. Lyra did not smile or boast. She only walked with calm steps, her new arms moving gently beside her. For the first time, she did not hide herself. For the first time, she felt strong later that day. She was called to the Grand Council chamber. The chamber was massive, filled with representatives from many species. Lights glowed softly across the room, and the council members sat in high, floating seats. When Lyra entered, the entire hall went silent. She walked to the center platform, her steps steady, her face calm. Her metal hands reflected the bright light. Shining like symbols of hope, a council elder stood and spoke. Lyra Hale, human constructor, hero of Zerith Station, the words echoed across the chamber. Lyra lowered her head respectfully. The elder continued. Our sensors show that without your actions, this station would have been destroyed. You risked your life for all of us. You proved that you were not weak. The crowd murmured in agreement. Some aliens who once mocked her now looked ashamed. Others looked inspired. The elder asked gently. How did you create such advanced limbs? Lyra raised her head. Her voice was soft but carried strength. I studied, she said. I learned every day. Even when people laughed, I built what I needed. Her words touched the room deeply. Many aliens lowered their eyes, remembering the cruel jokes they once made. A young cadet stepped forward, trembling. He was the same one who mocked her many times. Now his voice was full of regret. I am sorry, he whispered. We were wrong. Lyra looked at him quietly. She did not show anger or hatred. She only nodded once. You see me now? She said gently, for who I really am. The cadet nodded. Ashamed, and the moment felt heavy, powerful, important. Then the council elder lifted a glowing badge. This is the symbol of a station engineer. We offer it to you in recognition of your brilliance and courage from today. You will lead our robotics and safety development. A wave of gasps passed through the chamber. Lyra took a slow breath, then stepped forward. She accepted the badge with her new hand. Holding it firmly, this time she did smile. A small, gentle smile, but full of meaning as the ceremony ended. A soft sound vibrated from her datapad, a message notification. She opened it with her mechanical finger. The screen displayed an encrypted seal, the emblem of Earth Command. Her eyes widened slightly. She tapped the message open. Inside was a short transmission from Earth itself, from the Human Science Directorate. From her own people, Lyra Hal, the message read. We have seen the recording of your invention. Your design is far beyond current human prosthetic technology. We request your cooperation. We want your help in developing the next generation of human enhancement systems. You are not only an engineer, you are the future of humanity. Lyra stared at the message, her heart beating faster. Earth had noticed her. Earth wanted her. Earth believed in her. She looked down at her new arms glowing softly in the light, arms she built with her own mind, her own struggle, her own strength. Arms that changed how the galaxy saw her. Arms that gave her the power she never had, she whispered to herself. I was never broken, I was only becoming, when she stepped out of the council chamber. She felt something new, a feeling she had never known before. Respect, recognition, freedom. The station lights reflected on her metal hands as she walked forward. Aliens watched her with admiration. Children waved at her, smiling. Engineers rushed toward her with questions, seeking her guidance. She was no longer the armless human. She was Lyra Hale, the creator, the savior, the engineer who rebuilt herself, the human who changed everything. And as she moved through the long corridor of Zerith Station, her steps confident and steady, one thought lifted in her heart, warm and bright asterisk.